What's up, y'all? This is Chris Weathers, AKA ShortyC94. Just giving a brief talk on Randall Park Mall. Randall Park Mall is a mall that is now closed. It's maybe 2 miles from here, from where I stay. It's in North Randall, Ohio, which is a very, very small suburb of Cleveland. Residency is probably only eight to 1,500 people, because the majority of North Randall was the mall. Randall Mall, at one point when it opened, was one of the biggest malls. Well, it was the biggest mall in the world, and for a long time, it was the biggest mall in America. I worked there from 1998 until 2001. I worked outside of the mall in this place called Dallas Shoe Warehouse. In the 80s, it used to be a store sort of like Target called Best, which was really nice. I used to get a lot of toys from there back in the day. I worked there. Then I started working inside the mall. Worked at Kaufman's for the longest. I worked there for 2 years. I also worked briefly at Camelot Music. And I worked at Hallmark for 6 months. I was a sales leader, which was like a third key, but I didn't have the key. So, I have a lot of fond memories of it. It breaks my heart to drive by or ride by and see it just decaying, because I have so many beautiful memories of it. A lot of y'all are watching or know me, through shoes or collecting shoes. In its later years, when it was in its major decline, as much as I hate to say it was in its major decline, it was a great place for a so-called sneakerhead. You had Foot Locker, Foot Action, Champs, and Kids Foot Locker, which are all under the Foot Locker umbrella, all in the mall. You had Finish Line, which at that point, before Beechwood started being that, they were like the Finish Line that got all the urban releases and some of the limited things. You had Next, which is a Cleveland and Akron-based urban clothing store, who they used to just, sell urban clothes and stuff like that. By about 0203, they started selling Nikes and sports-oriented stuff when, Mitchell and Ness got really big nationwide with throwback jerseys. And you had City Blue. City Blue is a Philadelphia-based company that, it's clothing stores. I know there are about 10 or 12 City Blues in Philadelphia, judging by the bottom of those bags. The same little blue design with the dude with the jeans and the Air Max 180s that they've had forever. Everybody in Cleveland, young and black, has had a City Blue bag at one point, at some point. I hate that I don't have one here, but it's been so long probably since I bought anything from City Blue. So, but you had all of those stores in the mall. So if a Jordan came out or something came out, you had so many places to choose from. I guess Tower City is sort of like that now, how you have Foot Locker and you have Champs and you have Villa and you have Next. So, but I feel bad for teenagers now, because ultimately teenagers in crime, and I hate when people say gangs, but because Cleveland, compared to Chicago and Los Angeles, New York, Cleveland isn't a real gang place. But there were problems at the mall. The craziest thing I remember, as I was just talking to one of my friends online about it, was when the cool gray Jordan 11s came out in 2001. That was the only sneaker riot I could say I was involved in. And I ended up not getting them at that particular point. I ended up getting them a little later. But I remember seeing a nigga jump from the second floor to the first floor, slide underneath the gate just to get these shoes. Now, I love sneakers, but I couldn't see myself doing that for a pair of Jordans. But, I just have a lot of memories of the mall. Like I said, it got eroded. You had a lot of buses go out to the mall, and, niggas would come out there and be wilding out. I remember fall of 99, I was about to finish up my year at Kaufman's, and RTA decided to do like how they used to do back in the old days, where anybody who remembers the back entrance, the back main entrance to Randall that used to face Miles, um, back in the day, back in the 70s, they used to have the bus go up into the mall. They used to have it go up into the mall and let the passengers off, and then it would ride out, and then it would come back around and pick up the passengers. Well, they started trying to do that again, fall of '99, and I just remember niggas running through Kaufman's, or running out the main concourse after they had stole shit, just jumping on the bus. You know, stuff like that, I guess, eroded the mall. But I miss Randall Mall more than probably most people do, because it was a great place to be. In the 80s, when I was little, I mean, you still had shit like Fredericks of Hollywood. You know, you had, some upscale shit, even though Beechwood was open, because it opened about 2 years after Randall did in 1978. But it was like a fraction of Randall in the size. I mean, people talk about Beechwood being big now, but they expanded a lot of that in the 90s. Like, I know 96, 97, when they opened South Park in Strongsville, they expanded Beechwood to where it had Nordstrom's. It had like a whole nother wing, and but it's still not Randall. I mean, kids go to Beechwood now. It's still not Randall. I mean, aside from niggas acting wild and doing stupid shit, stealing cars, because that used to happen a lot in the Kaufman's parking lot, because it was like the darkest, and it was the one that faced Miles. It was the one furthest away from, I guess, the police or whatever. A lot of cars used to get stolen out there. People used to run inside. Because I was working in Nautica at the time, and I was like right by the door. Somebody stole my car. It's just glass there or whatever. And you have to call the police and do all of that. Aside from that kind of shit, it was a great place. I often wonder if the Super Walmart that they built in Meadowbrook at Rockside and Northfield, had they put that in Randall, would it have saved Randall? But, I don't know. I miss it. I miss it. Not necessarily even from a shoe standpoint. It was just wonderful to be there. It was wonderful to be there. And I guess I got started on this kick and researching the mall again, because every now and then, like I'm doing it this week, I'll wear a pair of, I do what's called a Forgotten Jordans week, where I'll wear Jordans, or in this case, this week I'm doing Jumpmans that nobody ever remembers, that Nike and Jordan brand will probably never bring back because of popularity, because of just the lack of knowledge about the shoe. There's no history behind it. Most of the players that they made these shoes for, kind of faded into obscurity. Players like Vin Baker and Derek Anderson, who were good for their time, but anyway, I'm deviating from the point. I'm going through, because what I do is, when I buy a shoe, especially back in those days, I'd have little random stuff, like in the box of shoes I wore the few days ago, I had like one of my Kaufman's pay stubs from 1999. I had a bus schedule, a couple other things, that just kind of took me back to that time. And even though the mall was a far cry from what it was in its heyday in the late 70s and 80s, and the late 90s when I was working there, early 2000s, it still was a great place to be. And it kind of, maybe it's because I'm a black guy. Maybe I was one of the people that supposed white people were afraid to go to the mall, because I was walking around with the Averex and gold chains and gold teeth and that whole thing. That's how I was then. I mean, I normally have a goatee. You can actually see the imprint of it, on my face here. But I never felt unsafe at Randall, ever. Ever. As an employee, as a patron, I never felt unsafe there. I would hear about things happening, but I never felt unsafe at Randall, ever. Maybe if I were a woman or older, maybe it would be different. But I never felt unsafe there, and I really wish that it could be redeveloped for retail. But if it gets redeveloped at all, it probably won't be for retail. They already have the JCPenney being used for Ohio Technical College and Pro Sport Institute, where niggas can learn how to fix cars and motorcycles, something. Of course, Burlington is still there in the old building that used to be Joseph Horns and the restaurant Josephine's. It used to be one of my mom's favorite restaurants back in the day. And LaSalle Furniture, or Casa LaSalle, was downstairs when they tried to revitalize the mall in the late 90s when I was working there. I think now it's just Furniture Liquidators or something. I don't know. Sears is gone, but it's just sad. I really wish that something could be done with it.